Welcome to the Thrive on Plants podcast. I'm Dr. Daphne Bascom, and I am so excited that you are joining us today for this amazing episode. I have had the opportunity recently of sharing with you 3 new coaches in our Vegan Superhero Academy coaching program. And today, you are going to have an opportunity to learn more about Coach Kiana Wilson. Kiana is an amazing human being. She's a former professional gymnast, acrobatic gymnast, and when you learn more about what that is, you'll realize that she's an epitome of strength, power, and flexibility. She has a master's in nutritional science, and she is a personal trainer. But I think what's most important about Kiana is the joy and energy she exudes in wanting to share this message with anyone who will listen. The food we put in our body is information. It's not just fuel. It is something that will help us grow. It'll help us thrive. It'll help support our health span and our lifespan. And for that reason, it is really important to prioritize understanding the foods that we put in our body. And I think that is something that Kiana brings as an important part of our coaching team. And I know she's going to continue to delve deep into these topics as I invite her as a guest on future podcasts. But for now, I'm excited to bring you my interview with Coach Kiana Wilson. Kiana, welcome.
Hi, Daphne. Thank you so much. That was a really nice introduction. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, we are super excited to have you on the team.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
Kiana, you're the second newest coach on the team now.
Second newest, yeah.
And I would love for you to share a little bit about your journey to becoming a vegan, a little bit about your fitness journey with our community.
Okay, yeah. I started my kind of fitness journey in gymnastics. So I grew up doing gymnastics. So I did that from 6 till about 18. And then I was lucky enough to qualify for the World Championships, and that's when I represented the Canadian team in acrobatic gymnastics. After that was my big goal in gymnastics. So when I achieved that, I was like, okay, I think I'm kind of ready to move on a little bit.
What is acrobatic gymnastics?
So it's a discipline of gymnastics. So it's not in the Olympics, but it's just a floor routine and you have partners. So I was with 2 other girls. I was a base and then there's another base and a top. So we do dynamic, which is any kind of throwing movement. So we throw the top, she does some flips. And then static or balance is the top climbs on you and she'll do different static movements. So like handstands or just different holds. And then we just have dance and tumbling that's also involved in the routine too.
So it requires a lot of strength, coordination, balance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good, I think gymnastics is such a great foundation sport because it really covers all of that: strength, power, flexibility, mobility. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, it's okay. After gymnastics, then I just wanted to go to university. So, during my gymnastics career, I lived in the UK for a couple years, and that's where my sister and I trained a little bit. And I had a really nice experience living in the UK, so I was like, oh, it would be nice to go back for university. So I went there and I did my undergrad in sport and exercise science. I chose that because I was like, I like sports, I like moving. That was kind of like the first thing I could think of when thinking of something to study. But then the more I was actually in the program and learned about it, I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Just learning about the science behind exercise. And then this was before I was vegan as well. And then it was at the end of my undergrad year. So this was around 2020, started the pandemic. I just came across this YouTube video so randomly. I don't know why it popped up. And it was by this animal rights activist, Ed Winters. He goes by, Earthling Ed. Yeah. And it was him giving a TED Talk about what goes on in the meat and dairy industry. And I was so shocked. Like, I had no idea, especially with dairy, the animal abuse that goes on. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy. I need to change right now. So I never really thought about that kind of thing. I sort of just ate, I guess, how most people eat, just meat, fish, dairy products. But I also was under the impression that that's what you need to eat as well. Because after gymnastics, I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I got into the gym and started weightlifting, but I was like, this is what you need to have. It's what you're told to have, right, to build muscle. So I saw this video and I was like, I can't keep buying these products. Like, there's no way I can keep contributing to this industry. But then at the same time, I was like, but this is what we need to be eating in order to stay fit and healthy and build muscle. So I was kind of in this dilemma a little bit. But from that video, I was like, it doesn't matter. I need to make a change because I cannot keep contributing to this industry. So it wasn't like an immediate switch for me to veganism. It took me a little bit of time. I was vegetarian for a bit. And then I think it was about 6 months after that, I was like, okay, I'm fully in. But then at that time, I was like, I need to look more into this and just do a bit more research about how veganism works on a nutrition and health aspect and how I can eat this way, but also support my health and fitness goals. And then that's when I became just so interested in this topic. And then I was like, I just want to learn more about this. So then I decided to do a master's in nutritional science because I really just wanted to learn more about nutrition, because my nutrition knowledge before just came from like YouTube videos from bodybuilders and stuff.
But let's wind back.
Yeah.
You were a national level athlete. Was there a nutritionist on the team? What were they? When you were competing at that level, you were probably training for multiple hours a day. How were you feeling your body?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we didn't have a nutritionist on the team.
You did not?
No. And looking back, I'm like, that would have been so helpful, because our nutrition advice came from our coaches. And they were amazing coaches. I really, really respected them. And they were so, obviously, they were so knowledgeable about the sport of acrobatic gymnastics. But the nutrition side, I just feel like we didn't get the best nutrition advice. And it was not at all their fault, because, we're told certain things. And if you don't know enough about nutrition, then it can be a little bit complicated, I guess. But the nutrition advice was more like, try and stay away from carbohydrates. Don't eat added sugar. Eat lots of fruit and vegetables, which of course is a good thing as well. But in acrobatic gymnastics as well, you're judged for how you look.
I was going to say.
Yeah. So it is that kind of sport as well. So you need to look a certain way, which is usually pretty thin, long legs. Basically being thin was a huge part of it. So our coaches really drilled in, try not to eat too much, basically. Right. So that was our nutrition advice.
The less is more.
Less is more, exactly, yeah. So that was a bit tricky. And I think growing up hearing that as well was always like, okay, we need to eat less. Then this is, and even after gymnastics as well, I was so scared that I was just going to gain a lot of weight, because we were training so much. It was 4 hours a day, 6 times a week. And then I was like, when I stop this, I'm just going to gain a ton of weight. So that's also when I was like, I really need to understand nutrition a little bit better so that I can continue to stay a healthy weight. So yeah, basically the nutrition advice was there. It just wasn't in depth enough. And yeah, we basically had to look a certain way. Which, yeah.
And I'm sure for the top, she had to be even super light.
Exactly.
Because you were. Okay.
You're right. Yeah. Tops definitely had it harder. So I was a bit luckier being a base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just that when you think about the level at which you were competing, and 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, you need the power, you need the energy, but there wasn't the focus on your nutrition.
Exactly. Yeah. There was such a focus on looking a certain way. Being thin, but where are we getting the energy from to actually be able to perform? And that component wasn't there. So, but it wasn't something that any of us thought about because we were younger and we're just like, our coaches are the experts. We listen to them. So, yeah.
But that took you to university where?
Exactly. And then that's when I really got to learn more about it, which was so cool. And the master's was amazing. It was just a year program. And it wasn't specific towards plant-based nutrition. It was just general nutrition. But to learn more in depth about the science behind nutrition was really cool. So it was a great experience for me.
And did you have a specific focus during your master's? Usually you do a thesis or something of that sort?
Yeah. So we got to choose our topics, which was really exciting. And because at this point I was vegan, super interested in plant-based nutrition, I decided to do a topic around that. And one of my lecturers actually worked for this company called Corn. So it's, you know Corn? Yeah. Okay. So it's really big in the UK, but it's a plant-based meat alternative made from mycoprotein. So he worked for that company. So he knew a lot about plant-based meat alternatives. So I was like, okay. So he was my supervisor. So he kind of advised me to do a topic around plant-based meat alternatives. And I was like, this is so cool. So I took a range, I think there was about 30 different plant-based meats, and these are based in the UK. So it was Beyond Meat was in there, a lot of corn products. I think there was some Impossible Meat, just like all the different brands and items of meat alternatives. And I look specifically at the anti-nutrients in these plant-based meat alternatives. So,
can you tell the audience what an anti-nutrient is?
Because at first I was like, that doesn't sound like a good thing, and it's not. So an anti-nutrient is a compound that's found in plants, and it's naturally present in plants. So it's things like phytic acid, oxalate, tannins, polyphenols as well. So they're naturally present in these plants. But if you have too much of them, they can affect the absorption of certain nutrients in our body. So things like iron, zinc. And because these plant-based meat alternatives are such a new product, they don't know the levels that are in these products.
Got it.
And a lot of these alternatives are made from things like soy, legumes, peas, wheat, and that's where these anti-nutrients are found. So basically, I just kind of took these products, and we're in a lab, so there's lots of fancy equipment, but I kind of just analyzed each one, mixing a lot of different chemicals together to find these certain levels. So I looked specifically at phytic acid and oxalates. And the good thing about it, the end of my research, was that there are levels of these anti-nutrients, but not enough to affect the absorption of these nutrients, which is amazing. Okay. So there needs to be more research on this topic, and it's not like I came up with something like, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing ever. It was just my individual research project. And hopefully there'll be more information about plant-based meat alternatives in the future. But I think that's a good thing that I found, was that, okay, like these meat alternatives are good, and having one serving of it per day is not going to impact our absorption of these nutrients, which is a really good thing.
I was just going to ask if you looked at a dose response in terms of, is it, I have 1 Beyond Burger a day, I have 10 Beyond Burgers a day.
Exactly. That would be something really cool. So all I did was analyze these meat alternatives. I didn't look at its effect on humans, which could be the next thing. So hopefully maybe even now there might be some more research on that, which would be really cool, because then we can see how much can you actually have to see if it would affect the absorption.
Interesting. And were you the first vegan in your family? Were you the only vegan in your family? How did this transition, and kudos to you. Earthling Ed is amazing.
He's amazing, yeah.
And
definitely.
I'm sure making that transition with intentionality was aligned with your values.
Yeah.
But I'm certain that there were elements of your environment that also weren't changing at the pace of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when I saw that video right away, I was at home in Canada because we went back for the pandemic, and I was like, everyone back to Canada. So I showed my parents right away. I was like, you have to check out this video. Like, this is crazy. And they had the same reaction as me.
Interesting.
Which at the time I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, it makes sense. You saw this video. It's shocking. And we need to make a change. And they had the same reaction, which was so cool. So I was like, great. Everyone who watches this video is going to turn vegan. Like, this is amazing. Let me just spread this like everywhere. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Yeah, unfortunately not. But at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like great. Everyone needs to see this. So I was so fortunate that my parents felt the same way, and my siblings as well. So I'm like, this is amazing to have, like, again, it wasn't like we watched this video and instantly everyone was vegan. It was definitely a process of okay, because we grew up eating like a lot of fish and we had Greek yogurt, like that kind of stuff. So it took time just to find some different replacements and stuff. But now our whole family is vegan, which is incredible. And I'm so lucky to be part of a fully vegan household.
nice.
It's really nice. But yeah, obviously when I tried to spread the message to other people, it didn't quite cross over as well. And there were some people who were a little bit like, they understood the idea. They're like, yeah, that's so bad, but
We need meat.
exactly. Yeah. Not enough to make a change, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm really grateful because I know there's some vegans out there who don't have a supportive community. Yeah. So I think I'm really fortunate that way.
And so that happened when you were in Canada during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Then you went back to the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Ed Winters is from the UK,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
certain that you had a different type of community when you went back
Yeah.
and resumed your training.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think actually, I don't know. I feel like the UK is just so good for veganism, and I just feel like more people are on board. Not that many people. It's still a very small community of it, but more people are on board with it. And so many restaurants in the UK are just, they have different vegan options. Where in Canada, it's not great. So I don't know what it is. Like you'll see like plant-based burger, and then on it has cheese and then a brioche bun. Like, okay, we were so close. But yeah, didn't quite happen.
The burger was plant-based.
The burger was plant-based, exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I feel like the UK is a little bit better for that, which is great. I don't have many vegan friends, unfortunately, in the UK. But yeah, but basically I think more people are kind of aware of the topic there, which is nice.
I remember corn when I was training in the UK, and that was, I was in my 20s, so
Okay.
that was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think it actually has been around for a long time, which is really cool.
Question then, based on what you know about plant-based meats, do you eat them? And do you include them as part of your nutritional recommendations for clients that you coach?
This is a good question, and I'm glad you asked this actually, because I am a supporter of plant-based meat alternatives. And I think a lot of the time, vegans and non-vegans can be a little bit intimidated by them because they're such a new product. And I think people get a little bit scared or nervous. I don't know what it is about. And I felt this way too at first. I'm not just saying it's other people. Because it's a new product, people are like, what's it made of? There's so many ingredients. Is it fake? All this kind of stuff. And I think there's a lot of misinformation about it out there. But I think the important thing with plant-based meat alternatives is you have to look at them on an individual basis, just like we would with any food. So anytime you look at a food product that you don't know the nutrition facts for it, just look on the nutrition label and see what it's going to provide for you. And I think we need to do the same thing with these alternatives too. So there's going to be some ones out there that maybe aren't the best for us, but some that actually can be great for us and can definitely be incorporated into our diet. And I think the important things to look for when you're looking at a nutrition label is look for saturated fat first. So we want to make sure that's a little bit lower. So around 2 to 3 grams is good. And that will also reflect the calories in it too. So that's a good thing. And then protein. So sometimes you'll see a plant-based meat alternative and it might be like a fake chicken or something. And you're like, okay, you'll probably assume it's similar nutrition facts to chicken, but it won't be. It'll be very low in protein. So look for protein next. So around 15 to 20 grams would be amazing. And then also check sodium too. So sometimes plant-based meat alternatives can be a little bit high in sodium. So if we're keeping it under, if you see around like 800 milligrams, that's to 1,000, it's probably a little bit too much. So yeah,
for one
serving, exactly. Yeah. So try and look for ones that have a little bit less than that. But yeah, I think they definitely can be incorporated into your diet because they offer a great source of protein. And a lot of the time they have fiber in it as well, which is really cool. And that's the difference between plant-based meat alternatives and regular meat. In meat, there's no fiber at all. So, which is really cool. So it's another way to just add a bit more fiber into your diet.
So if I can recap, if you are plant-based meat alternatives do have a place in the nutritional program for whether you're vegan or non-vegan.
Yeah.
If you're evaluating a plant-based meat alternative, look at the fat,
Yeah.
because some of them can be very high fat.
Exactly. Yeah.
And try and keep that around 2 to 3 grams. Then look for protein,
Yeah.
because even though it says meat alternative, doesn't necessarily mean that it's high in protein.
Exactly.
So, look at that 15 to 20 grams of protein. And then I agree with you, the sodium content in some of the products can be very high. So try and look for products that are lower in sodium,
Yeah.
so that you can keep that, total daily
Yeah.
sodium goal under 2,000 milligrams or so.
Yeah, exactly. And the one other thing I want to add with that is because plant-based meat alternatives are considered an ultra-processed food.
They are.
And I think sometimes people also associate ultra-processed food with something that's really bad for us, which a lot of the time that's true, because there's all the candy and chips and all that kind of stuff that is ultra-processed and it's not good for us. But then there's the thing with the system is that like something like whole wheat cereal, that's considered an ultra-processed food. But actually, that's really good for us. So just because it's ultra-processed or processed doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. And then another thing people criticize is the ingredients list. So sometimes people see, oh, there's so many ingredients in it that must be bad for us. But just because ingredients list is long doesn't mean that that's not good for us.
And how do you teach? And that's a good point, because I know one of the things we encourage in our program is learn how to read the label.
Exactly.
How do you, based on your knowledge, having a master's in nutrition, how do you educate people on understanding what is important in the list of ingredients?
Yeah.
Because we know that they're categorized by the highest volume and to the lowest volume.
Yeah.
And it may be that there are multiple things on the label, but simple is good, but more doesn't always mean bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a good question. I know that can be a hard thing too when you're looking, because there's a lot of complicated words on there that most people won't understand what it means. A lot of the time, the plant-based meal alternatives, the added ingredients in there are actually just added vitamins and minerals, which is really cool. So, and those names usually have complicated terminology. So it might sound like it's something scary, but actually it's just added vitamin B12 or something.
Epicobalamin.
Exactly. Yeah, like that sounds scary, right? So I think don't freak out about that. I would say most important is look at the nutrition label. So what I mentioned about lower fats, lower sodium, higher protein. So look at those kind of things. And then, I would say, I don't know. It's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky with the complicated terms. And I understand that it can be an intimidating thing.
Ask your coach if you have.
Exactly. Ask your coach. Yeah.
If you look back and I'd love to learn more about, as you emerged out of your professional career, how you sustained your activity, or how you transitioned from training 4 hours a day, managed to maintain your physique, but also how did your nutrition change as your knowledge changed?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you were really focused on your physique, weight management early in your career.
Totally.
You still look amazing. You're healthy.
Thank you.
But your knowledge base is so much broader.
Yeah. And I think the hardest time for me was transitioning out of gymnastics, because I just thought, I was like, I mentioned before, like, if I'm not training this many hours, how can I stay fit? Like, I just didn't get it, because it was always my whole life up to then was that intense training. So yeah, that's when I began weight training, and I was like, oh, this is cool. You can just do 45 minutes or an hour a day and still look good. Like, you can still build muscle. And I didn't understand that before.
Interesting.
So that was really cool. And then, like I mentioned before, when I became vegan, I was very skeptical, because everything I always heard was like, the protein comes...
Get your protein.
Exactly. Where are you getting your protein from? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, I don't think this is going to be sustainable for me. But at the same time, I knew that I had to be vegan. Like, I had to. I couldn't keep living this way, knowing that that's what goes on in the animal industry. So, but then when I did a bit of research, it was all there. Like, you can get everything that you need from a plant-based diet and more. Like, it's so incredible. And I'm like, oh man, more people need to know about this because it really is amazing.
Are you, I don't want to make an assumption, but it sounds like you weren't really doing resistance training when you were doing gymnastics.
Yeah, so we did conditioning, and that was a lot. Like, it was 45 minutes at the end of our 4-hour training sessions. And I mean, I guess it was resistance training because we did all the push-ups and pull-ups, and different exercise and stuff as a base. You had to have that strength and power. So we did do resistance training, but it wasn't like, I don't know, how do I describe it? Like, it was just more just training for the sport. But then after the sport, I was like, realized you can actually just do weight training just to look good. And I thought that was really cool.
Okay.
So I liked doing just targeting different muscle groups and just learning different resistance training activities.
And as a competitor, I'm sure you still have a little bit of that competitive spirit in you.
Yeah.
How did your routine change? No longer a competitive athlete. What are your goals now? How do you keep the fire burning to stay in the gym and keep training?
Yeah. So after gymnastics, I was like, I think I'm good. I don't need to compete anymore. But then at some point I was like, oh, it would be kind of nice to, like, I missed that competitive edge a little bit, I guess. But I mean, I was just training in the gym for maybe 4 years, I guess, not doing anything competitive. And then I had a friend at university who was like, oh, you should join the Olympic, or you should try out Olympic weightlifting at the university. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, no interest in any of those kind of movements. So I was like, I'll try it out. And I went like once or twice and I was like, actually, this is kind of fun. So I joined the university Olympic weightlifting team, and I learned to snatch and clean and jerk. And then I competed a couple times with the team, which was also really fun. And I enjoyed that so much, like the competitiveness. I was like, I felt like I was really missing it, actually. And I'm not very good at all. Like, I'm not good at all at it. But it was just fun. Like, I was like, this is nice. You're working towards something, which I thought was really cool. And then after that, another friend was like, oh, you should try CrossFit. So I joined a CrossFit club, continued the weightlifting there a little bit. And then I met some people who told me about this sport called High Rocks, which I hadn't heard of before because it's pretty new. So I'd also done a couple competitions in High Rocks too. So I guess I was missing the competitiveness. I just didn't realize for a while, but now I'm back in it. So
it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kiana, what would you, going back to your years in gymnastics, you probably see a lot of women coming out of the sport who either had Red S, LEA, maybe spending so many years in a relative energy deficit in a way, maybe low bone mass.
Yeah, totally.
For women in the 20 to, let's say, 35-year-old age group, how do you encourage them to understand that you're forming the foundation for your future musculoskeletal health now, and you need to fuel, you need to be in the gym, you need to move, or do some type of resistance training. But how did you weave that into your coaching?
Yeah, so I think that this is such a great topic, and I think for people in that age category, resistance training is so important. And if you haven't started yet, that's okay, but I would encourage you to start. And you don't have to do too much. 2 to 3 times per week strength training is amazing, and just doing that is so good. And especially as we get a little bit older, resistance training becomes even more important because our muscle mass starts to break down a little bit, and it's really important that we preserve that. So resistance training is huge, but then also so is protein intake, and the two really go together. So also as we get a little bit older, increasing our protein is also really important. So resistance training, not too much, is great. You can start off 2 to 3 times a week, and then just making sure that you get enough protein, I would say.
And when you say enough?
Yeah, good question. Enough. So protein requirements, I mean, it depends on what your specific goals are, and how much resistance training you're doing. But I usually just say 1 gram per kilogram of body weight per day is good. And then as we get a bit older, increasing that amount, 1.2, 1.4 grams per day is going to be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in terms of even looking at your own mindset,
Mm-hmm.
I still find women tend to undereat.
Totally. Yeah.
How do we coach women and to get them to understand that
Yeah.
less is not more,
Yeah.
and that we need to get over this societal pressure to be small?
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
and that being thin doesn't necessarily mean being healthy.
Exactly.
I think we conflate thin with health,
For sure.
but at the same time that underfueling is also detrimental
Yeah.
over the long term.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. With that, I really like, because I mean, obviously I felt that same way.
Mhm.
After gymnastics, I was like, I need to stay thin,
Yep.
because that was my idea. And that's the pressure we have in society as well as a woman, to stay thin and look a certain way. I think how my mindset changed and how I encourage other people to change their mindset is, if you have goals that are focused around fitness or health, or or maybe not health, but fitness related goals. So something like learning a resistance training movement, learning a pull-up, increasing your strength, things like that. Like, that's the things we need to focus on, which I think is really cool. And that's just so much more motivating as well, I find. So kind of just shifting our focus on, instead of looking a certain way, try and feel a certain way. So feel strong. And I think also, too, when people start resistance training and they see that change in how they look muscle mass wise, they start to fall in love with the process of building muscle, which I think is so cool. So I think, yeah, just trying to focus your goals more on something related to fitness. It doesn't have to be strength training necessarily. It can be starting a sport, starting tennis, something like that. And having goals more that way, rather than changing how you look, I guess.
Right. It could be hiking, walking,
Exactly.
anything that you love to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a huge thing too. Like, you'll find something you love. And I think that's such an important thing to remember, is that, like, I personally love running, but I know that's not for everyone. So I don't think everyone should do it, but there's something that you will enjoy doing. So you just have to find that one thing. And then once you find it, then stick with it, and then it'll be good.
And it may change over the years.
Exactly. Yeah. It might change. Yeah.
Is there an area of nutrition that still you find fascinating, or that you want to continue to explore more?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think when I did that master's, I realized that there's so much I don't know, which is cool.
We all feel the same.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think, like, maybe even before starting that program, I was like, I think I know, like, a lot about nutrition. And then when I actually started learning about it, I was like, oh, I actually really don't know a lot about nutrition. So I think there's so many topics out there that I would love to explore more of. Even the plant-based meat alternative world, like, when I was doing that stuff, I was like, again, so much stuff I don't know, but I was like, this is cool. Maybe I would love to just go more
deep
into
dive.
Yeah, deep dive into that, because I just know, like I mentioned before, people are just a little bit intimidated by it, which is completely understandable. And it's so new. It's such a new thing. So to learn more about that would be really cool, I think.
And I know I didn't prep you for this question beforehand, but did your thesis advisor talk anything about the cell-based meat alternatives? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of the next generation after
Totally.
the plant-based meat.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot around, using single cells to start to grow different types of meat alternatives.
Yeah. That was actually covered a little bit in our course, and I did find that topic so interesting. And yeah, once you mentioned that, I was like, actually, that is a really cool topic, because I don't know much about that at all. Yeah. But I think if that can start, it would be incredible, because I mean, that way we'd be able to replicate foods that already exist. We can increase their nutrient content, which is super cool, but then we don't have that animal abuse side. So I think I wish maybe that is something I can maybe learn a little bit more about, because that would be really cool. But I think that would be a great thing for us in the future.
I think that there are a lot of people exploring that area, and I don't know a lot either. I mean, I also find it fascinating to see where we're going forward.
Yeah.
Because, and I'd love to hear more about your ongoing activism. I feel in some ways that what we do at the vegan gym is a form of activism.
Totally. Yeah.
But where is your heart? What continues to fuel you, and how do you weave activism into what you do every day?
Yeah. So I think when I first became vegan, I was so like, I need to tell everyone about this. Like, I am like fully on board. But then it became a point where it was kind of exhausting and difficult. And I just found that I was getting into like, not arguments with people, but just like, well, I guess it kind of was arguments. Like, you know, any vegan would understand that. Like, it's just, it can be kind of exhausting talking to people who are not vegan and not willing to change. So then I came to a point where I was like, I just don't want to talk about it, which I also didn't like, but it gave me peace of mind to not talk about it. So when I was before I worked with the vegan gym, I was working in a gym doing personal training and nutrition coaching. And I didn't tell anyone I was vegan. I just really kept that to myself. So even my clients didn't know, because I just didn't want to have that conversation, which I didn't like. That was the problem. So that's when I was like, I know I need to do something around veganism. And so I joined this animal rights group in the UK. And what I'm new to starting it. I only started it maybe 5 months ago, I guess. But I go to schools and I talk to kids about plant-based eating, veganism. So that I find incredibly rewarding, because it's already part of that organization. And it's not, because we're talking to young children, it's not like telling them everything. It's just telling them how we can treat animals in a kind and compassionate way. And I really like that side of it. And I think talking to kids about it, like talking to people at such a young age, is a really good thing, because then they're the ones who are more willing to take in information and maybe make a change themselves, which I think is really cool. So I'm doing that, which is nice. And of course, working with the vegan gym is incredible, because it's already working with people who are already vegan, so we can skip that conversation, which is nice. And then we just go right into health and fitness and nutrition, which is great. But I would like to do something more with activism. I'm just not sure what else to do yet.
No, I think so. I love that you're working with children, and because I think, similar to you, most, and myself included, you don't really think about what is the origin of what's on your plate.
Totally.
We've separated ourselves. There's so many degrees of separation from the food that we eat, whether it's plants, whether it's animals, whether it's ultra processed food, that I don't think children know what food really is meant to be. So that's great work that you're doing there.
Yeah, it's cool. And I would love, like, it would be amazing if this was talked more about in schools, I think. Because you're right, like, we, especially at a young age, were taught to be nice to dogs and cats. They're our pets. Well, all animals we're taught to be nice to, and that's our natural reaction. But then you're eating a hamburger and just not making that association of, oh, that animal actually had a life. So I think it's a hard thing, because we're brought up that way. And if we can get it from an early age and get kids to understand, I think that would be really cool.
They can make more informed decisions.
Exactly.
Down the line.
Yeah.
I also remember when you were interviewing that you talked about starting a plant-based gym and community space.
Yeah.
Is that still an aspiration for you, or?
Yeah, I would love to. And I think, I don't know, when I was after gymnastics, I was like, and I became super into fitness, I was like, starting my own gym would be incredible. So that's kind of always been an idea.
Uh-huh.
And then when veganism came in and I became super interested in that, I was like, how cool would it be to have a gym that's fully plant-based?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, that doesn't really make sense, but you have a gym and then you sell supplements that are all vegan, and maybe the people working there are all vegan, something like the vegan gym, but for something physical. Yeah. Yeah. So I think something like that would be incredible in the future. And yeah, I just kind of like the idea of people coming in and then seeing that, oh, this is a fully plant-based space. And maybe people who aren't vegan might see that and go, oh, this is cool. Like you can actually eat plant-based, but then still hit your health and fitness goals too.
I think, I mean, I love the fact that you want to bring community and veganism together, because that's what we do here.
Exactly. Yeah.
And doing it in the context of events like we're here now at the Vegan Superhero Retreat, and really being with a group of people that you don't have to have that conversation.
Exactly.
You're all aligned.
You're all aligned. Yeah. That's the best.
Kiana, as we wrap up, I'd love, if you're open to it, to go through a lightning round of questions.
Okay.
And you can just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
So no right or wrong.
Okay.
What is your go-to pre-workout meal?
Pre-workout, I usually have half a banana before I work out.
Even before you run?
Okay, if I'm running, then, sorry, my answer is changing a bit. So normally sorry, I should have said coffee. Like I have to have coffee before anything. So coffee first. And then if I'm running, I would just go with just coffee. If I'm going to the gym, I'll have half a banana first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Side question, no longer lightning round. Do you have opinions? Because I think that, I'll let you answer, on women training fasted?
Kind of. So I think I used to do that. I would have coffee and then go to the gym. I think it depends on a lot of things. Like if you're waking up 5 a.m. and you know you're working out right away, you wake up and go to the gym, I would say it depends on how you feel. It depends on the day before. Have you fueled enough? How are you feeling in that morning? Do you have enough energy? I think if you're fueled enough the night before, you're feeling good in the morning, then I think it's okay to go to the gym fasted. Usually for me, if I'm awake and I'm having coffee, spending a little time not going immediately to the gym, then I'll eat something a little bit before. Yeah. So I think it depends on the night before and how you're feeling in that morning. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a side.
No, it's okay.
It's such a big topic.
Totally. Yeah.
I
agree.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of science around the benefits of fueling your body appropriately.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that it's an individualized conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And not to take a blanket, you must, and apply it to everyone.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, they struggle eating in the morning. So if that's you, then I would say just don't force it, because if you feel like it's not going to benefit you anyway and you'll feel too full, because you don't want to feel too heavy going to the gym either. So yeah, definitely take it on an individual basis.
Along similar lines, what is your favorite recovery food?
So normally I will go to the gym in the morning, and then when I come back, I have overnight oats. So that's been my morning routine for like the past 5 years, I think. Always have the same thing.
With protein powder?
With protein powder, yeah. So I mix oats and chia seeds and then soy milk usually. And then I'll mix the protein powder in and then just top it with different berries and different fruit in the morning.
Antioxidants.
Antioxidants, exactly. Yeah.
And your omegas, because you got your...
And omega-3, yeah, exactly, yeah, with the chia seeds, yeah.
Is there a book, podcast, or resource that you would recommend to women who are wanting to thrive on plants?
Yeah, so there is this book that I actually found in the library when I was...
a real library?
Libraries really exist.
I love libraries.
Yeah. They're still a thing. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you can find this book online, but it's called Plant-Based Nutrition in Clinical Practice. And that was just a book that I kind of first picked up in my master's that I found. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. But it just goes into the science of plant-based nutrition and how it can support health, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I really like paper books, actually. I know it's maybe not for everyone, but I like just physically reading through things. And I found this one really helpful.
If you look in the trunk of my car, I brought books.
Oh,
I'm the same way.
yeah.
I'll get them digitally and I'll listen to them, but I have to touch a book
I feel the
sometimes.
same way. Yeah. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Second to last question,
Yeah.
and then I promise I'll let you go soon.
Yeah, it's okay.
What does a day in the life of Kiana look like in terms of focusing on all of the pillars of the Plant Power Blueprint? So
Yeah.
your mindset, your nutrition, your movement, your sleep, your stress, community.
Yeah. So I think there's a few different important things to cover in the day. For me, waking up and exercising, the most important thing. And I mean, that's not for everyone. Not everyone's a morning person. Some people like to work out in the evening. But for me, working out first thing, I find I'm most motivated in the morning. I'll wake up and do it. If I'm wait later in the day, it's probably not going to happen.
I'm with you.
So, and again, that's not for everyone. But for me, I like to wake up, work out first. And then that way too, my, I don't know, mood and mindset is just ready for the day. And I notice that if I don't work out, then I'm a little bit less motivated to do other things. So I find if you work out first, then you're ready to take on more challenging tasks of the day, which is good. So then I also find that I'm able to stick to healthier eating that way as well. I find that sometimes if, you don't do a workout, then you're more likely to eat something that wasn't planned. And yeah, so I always say for me, working out first is the most important thing. And then having breakfast, and then starting whatever task it is for the day. So now working with the vegan gym, we'll usually just start right away after I eat. And then, yeah, I like to meal prep foods as well. And I think that was a huge kind of thing for me because, and I know a lot of people struggle with that as well. If you don't have an idea of what you're eating or if you haven't prepared your food, then you're more likely to grab something else that maybe wasn't the healthiest choice. So I like to prepare in advance what I'll be eating for the day. And then again, I'm much more likely to stick to actually eating well, which I think is helpful. Yeah. And then, yeah, I think, so yeah, now since I'm working mostly online, it's a lot of time indoors. So after the end of the day, I just make sure that I go for some kind of walk. And since I've been in Canada these past few months, I have dogs at home, which is really nice. So it's a perfect excuse to go outside and walk them. And I think just going outside, moving again, getting fresh air is something super important. So I really like to do that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's kind of like a day in the life of me.
Do you prioritize sleep?
Yes, that's a good question. I forgot to mention sleep. Definitely. I did used to have this not so good habit of going on my phone at night in bed. And I think that was something, I don't know, I used to just not have the best sleep ever, but I didn't really make the association that going on my phone right before I go to sleep was the bad thing. But then I was like, maybe I should not do that. So, yeah, I try and stop looking at my phone at least an hour before going to bed. So I'll still lie in bed on my phone, but then put it to the side and then I'd usually just lie there for a little bit and then it's just so much easier to fall asleep because I think that screen can sometimes affect us a bit. So
Absolutely.
it was not a good habit. So, and the habit I still need to work on is I'm really bad with alarms. So I'll set an alarm in the morning and then just turn it right off, but then have multiple alarms keep going. So it's so bad. And that's something that I'm like, this needs to change because it's not a good habit.
So you're not waking up yet just without the alarm?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I'll set an alarm earlier knowing that I won't get up at that one. So that I'll get up on like the fourth or fifth one, which is just a disaster. So yeah, it's really not good.
How are your cabin mates taking this?
Actually, you know what? I've been good with it so far because I know that if other people in the room, they would be so annoyed with that. So today was one alarm and I was like, okay, I have to get up. So it's actually good.
A little conditioning's happening now.
Yeah, now it's good. So,
And Kiana, final question. What does it mean to you to be a vegan superhero?
Good question. I did have a answer for this one. So a vegan superhero, I would say a leader who shows others that kindness and compassion can be strong. So for me, veganism came from the compassionate side, the ethical side with animals. And then I was able to make that connection with combining compassion and fitness and health. So for me, just being able to combine those two.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Kiana, thank you so much for joining all of us today on the Thrive on Plants podcast. It's been wonderful getting to know you more, and we are excited that you're on the team.
Oh, thank you so much, Daphne. Thank you for having me. It was really nice to be here.
You're welcome. And I hope all of you enjoyed getting to know more about Kiana Wilson as much as I did. I would love to know if you want to drop a line in the comments. If you would like to learn more about plant-based meat alternatives, let us know, because I think it would be a good conversation for us to dig into in a little bit more detail on a future podcast. If there were any other topics that we discussed today that were of interest to you, please feel free to leave notes in the comments. We read all your comments, and we value bringing you the topics that are most important to you. But in the meantime, remember to like, subscribe so that you don't miss any future episodes. And if you are wanting to learn more about thriving on plants, please feel free to join us in our Thrive on Plants community at thriveonplantslife.com. We'd love to welcome any woman into that community. But until then, I hope that you continue to thrive on plants and live with purpose. Take care. The information shared on the Thrive on Plants podcast is intended solely for educational and informational purposes. It is not medical advice, and it should never be used as a substitute for personalized guidance from a qualified healthcare professional. Always consult with your physician or healthcare provider before making any changes to your nutrition, exercise routine, supplement use, or your overall wellness plan. The opinions and advice shared by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Vegan Gym or its team. While we aim to bring you high-quality, thoughtful conversations, these perspectives are not intended to replace professional medical care. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, you have the power to thrive on plants and live with purpose.